Welcome. My name is Patricia Lassard, and I'm a facilitator of Breakthrough Parenting, a wonderful program designed by Dr. Jane A. Major of Santa Monica, California. You can follow me on Facebook, Breakthrough Parenting, taught by Patricia Lassard, or you can check out my website, www.theplaceinthegrove.com. This is part 2 of lesson 3 on self-esteem, and want to talk about low self-esteem and self-esteem killers. So we talked about earlier how positive self-esteem makes it more possible for people to be more resilient. Well, we want to think about people with low self-esteem, how they might react differently to adversity, how they think about, well, that's all they deserve. They don't expect things to work out, so they're not surprised when things don't work out, and they may give up easier because they think they don't deserve success anyway. People with low self-esteem do not see themselves as having value or as being good enough the way they are. When an opportunity may present itself, they may think, I don't deserve it. And they unconsciously find ways to sabotage their chances. So what can happen is the result is a lot of lost opportunities in life and continual disappointments. And then, of course, that just sets it up. You have one disappointment, then another, and then that starts to set what the expectations are of someone with a low self-esteem. So I think you're beginning to see the pattern of what happens with someone that's stuck with low self-esteem. We touched on the last video on self-esteem. We talked a little bit, we touched on inner directed. So self-esteem is inner directed. We need to work on that and do that ourselves. We need to take care of it ourselves. And it's built on a firm belief in one's own personal worth, regardless of what others think, positive or negative. So having a positive self-esteem, we need to not be as influenced by what other people think of us, which is outer directed, and more find our value based on being pleased with what we've accomplished, inner directed. So I want to talk a little bit about now self-esteem killers. So a self-esteem killer is a statement about another person that is designed to diminish that person's sense of personal worth. You think about that when people are arguing or in a fight, they'll throw out self-esteem killers trying to throw the other person off. Often these statements are humorous, but in a cruel way. Some of these self-esteem killers have been passed down from generation to generation in some families. Like they might have the same negative comments that they say to knock people off. Like people use a self-esteem killer to unbalance someone so that you can try and control them and intimidate them to get your way. So one of the things I want to start talking about also is that I've talked about with some of the parents is you think about, say, 20, 30 years ago, and if you were in the grocery store or at a park and you saw a parent give their kid a swat when they were misbehaving, you wouldn't have thought a lot about it. But now, society's thought process has changed a lot, and we're starting to think about if you, well, one, people aren't as likely because of societal norms to give their kid a swat in the grocery store or at the playground in front of other people, because they're worried about what other people would think and what the reaction, and maybe someone's going to report them and call social services on them and that. So where physical punishment was used to gain control of children commonly before, and people wouldn't have thought as much about it, now that's made the shift. Well, self-esteem killers are also a form of like verbal abuse. And I say often, like, words can hit as hard as a fist. And some people also think that the self-esteem killers, the negative things that I've said to them, some people have felt that that has hurt more and left deeper scars than if they had been hit and even had a broken arm or leg, that would have healed, because the emotional wounds people seem to carry a lot longer and seem to hurt a lot more. So it's interesting now to think that you see parents now that would have, say, given their kids a swat, now using verbal abuse to try and gain control of their child, or to punish their child. And people don't really, it makes people now, I think, feel uncomfortable. We intuitively feel uncomfortable about it, but we don't say anything about it. So I'm trying to teach my parents in that. So they're going, well, what can we do? What can we do? And I say, well, you don't want to say to the parent, oh, geez, like saying negative things to your child is verbal abuse. You don't want to say that, because that's in a way making them feel bad. But what I suggest to the parents, saying, wow, looks like you're having a bad day. I've had those as well. And that distracts the parent and acknowledges where they're at. And remember when we were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and that need for acknowledgement? So if you see a parent that's just having a really bad go with their child, the child is, causing them difficulty and they're losing it, just to distract them and acknowledge them, just say, you know what, looks like you're having a bad day, been there, done that. I hope your day gets better. So just moving on from that. Now, also one of the things is it's very important for parents to model positive self-esteem. Our children learn by the behaviors that we model. So if as a parent you do not have positive self-esteem, then you need to work on developing yours and increasing your self-esteem. And one of the best ways to do that is catch yourself being good. When you've done something good, acknowledge it, give yourself a pat on the back, be your own cheerleader. Like we said, when people have a positive self-esteem, they're their own good cheerleader. Same strategy that you use with your children, catch them being good rather than catch them being bad. We want to avoid negative labels, because that is a self-esteem killer as well. And also, if you say, oh, well, you're a cranky child, or you're a shy child, or you're a moody child, the child may attempt to try and grow into that label, because that's what you're defining them as. So be careful of the labels that you use and try to stay away from negative ones and use positives, because labels can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Parents may erroneously think that they are pointing out their errors and wrongs of their children to motivate them to change. But now we know that is not how children learn best. Remember, we want to describe the behavior, not the child. and always use unconditional love, not conditional love. Thank you, Patricia Lessard, Breakthrough Parenting, taught by Patricia Lessard on Facebook, www.theplaceinthegrove.com.